Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's CX Moment. This is a weekly series where we chat with companies about what's happening with their business, their support centers, and with their customer experience. This is a special broadcast this week as we have two great customers with us, Wantable and Birchbox. And for every participant that's on today, we're going to be donating $1 to Wantable's So Good initiative and the Birchbox effort to donate care packages to healthcare workers. My name is Tom Keiser. I'm Chief Operating Officer at Zendesk, and joining me today I have Tiffany Cooley from Wantable and Leanna Nazzisi from Birchbox. If you've joined us before, you know these sessions go really quickly. It's a quick 30 minutes. We're going to try to answer as many questions as possible as we go through this, and we look forward to interacting with you. So up on the screen, you'll see how you can get your questions launched. So why don't we jump right in? We'll start with Tiffany. Tiffany, if you can just do a really brief intro to yourself, your role, and tell us a little bit about what the So Good initiative is all about.
Yeah, I'm Tiffany Cooley. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Wantable. I head up the marketing, creatives, our personal styling team, as well as our customer service team. So Good came about within 48 hours, literally. Our teams were really excited and looking to help contribute to the frontline healthcare and medical workers in any way possible. So within 48 hours, our team came up with this plan to crowdsource masks and be able to ship them out based on request to healthcare workers. We've collected pledges from people who are willing to sew masks, totaling over 20,000 so far. And what was an extremely huge success story before we even started collecting masks was just our team's ability to flex, recognize that our systems and logistics internally were a great platform to crowdsource and be able to execute something like this really quickly. So, you know, while everything was going on in the space with coronavirus and all the things that, you know, states are deciding whether or not they close, businesses were deciding how to handle it. You know, we, as of, I think it was around March 12th, decided to have our employees work remotely ahead of the stay-home orders. And from that point on, we were really committed to taking care of our employees throughout all of that, you know, giving our employees options to work at home and so forth. You know, this just kind of came to life as we were sitting back watching everything happen and knowing that we had to pivot, even if it meant taking our eye off of our core business to help execute this. And we've been extremely pleased with the results and just completely humbled by everyone's willingness to reach out and participate in something like this.
That's awesome. And Leanna, same for you. If you could do a little quick introduction of yourself and then talk to us a little bit about how Birchbox has responded to COVID-19.
Absolutely. I am on the customer operations team, the customer support team at Birchbox. And what we noticed when we started to talk to customers early March or so, when things first started to take wave, was that they needed help. They wanted options. And something that we started to think about as a company is like, how can we provide support and options for people who aren't reaching out to us? And something that we think of a lot and that we pivot our subscription against is taking time for yourself and taking you time and, you know, making moments with yourself special with Birchbox. And the first thing we thought of was there are so many people now who don't have that opportunity because they're taking care of all of us, those essential workers, those frontline workers, you know, and we thought, how can we give back to them? And the best way we thought is give them extra you time in the form of a Birchbox. So it came up with a concept of having people nominate healthcare workers that they know, family, friends on the front lines, and then we just broadened it out and it just became larger and larger to the point today that we've donated almost 60,000 boxes to the frontline employees, and just making sure that everyone has a little bit of like that special time for them. And then on the flip side, figuring out ways that we can help our customers, whether we're looking into options for pausing subscriptions, or can we waive a fee if, you know, you need a little bit of help this month, and making those conversations more engaging and being able to have a, you know, a good communication platform with them and asking them what they need rather than telling them like, here's what we can do, and figuring out the best options for our customers. And it's been really nice to see, like Tiffany said, talking through people, their issues, their resolutions, and like making sure that everyone is being taken care of and seeing like the humility and how people are responding and how proud we are of being able to help. It's been really, really nice to see.
That's great. A big thank you to both your companies and to all your employees for the great work they're doing and how they're helping their communities. Let's talk a little bit about employees for a moment. Most of us are in work from home situations, but both your companies have a lot of employees who are essential workers. They're working in distribution centers. They're in the office doing work. Tell us a little bit about how they're feeling and how you're taking care of them. Well, why don't we start with you, Tiffany?
Yeah, so I hit on this a little earlier. Before the stay-home orders were in effect around March 12th, I think it was approximately 12 days before Wisconsin stay-at-home order was in effect, which is where we're headquartered. We invited and actually mandated that our HQ employees work from home. I think that there was a sense of relief that people who were nervous about coming to work didn't have to have that conversation, and that there was a sense of comfort that we were taking care of our employees first. In addition to that, we were cutting back on our distribution center. So while we were able to stay open, we made a conscious decision internally to minimize how many people came in contact with each other across shifts. So we added incremental shifts to help minimize how many people were in the same facility together. We had no more than 20% of our workforce working together at the same time. We increased the amount of sanitization and cleaning and so forth that happened in our buildings at that time. And I would say one of the things that we really did too is just look to our customers. So Leanna had mentioned just kind of leaning into what do customers want from us? We're, an online retail clothing company. Where do we fit in during a time like this? And we received one quote very early on in the process that I think has really shaped how we approach helping our customers through times like this. And if you don't mind, I'll just read this sentence to you for a quick second. I cannot thank you all enough for continuing to be in operations and offering self-care during these uncertain times. This edit was just something to look forward to in these uncertain times, and it ended up being more of a sense of normalcy than I even knew I needed. And this came from a frontline medical worker. She's a nurse. She was working around the clock shifts. And I think that it just helped become our North Star for how do we help customers and how do we talk with them and how are we just having these real and open, authentic conversations during this time. So I think coupled with all of the things that we did as a precaution to take care of our employees and their safety, and you couple that with how we could rally from home and help our customers get that sense of normalcy, that's been I think the biggest pivot in cultural change and even just on our day-to-day approach to work.
That's great. And Leanna, how have you changed your business model to ensure the employees are safe?
We've done a lot of the similar things. We also have been working from home for a while now. I would say the second week of March. So all of our HQ employees in all 3 countries have been working remotely. We've been setting up a lot of touch bases and check-ins to make sure that we're operating efficiently remotely as well. It's actually been a really great win for all of our teams, seeing how we can effectively communicate with each other and make things happen, even if we're not sitting together. Another thing that we did similarly to Wantable as well was make sure all of safety precautions at our warehouse were like top notch. So we were ensuring that any teammate who was feeling sick, went home, was monitoring their illnesses at home, no crossover in shifts to make sure just to help with the spread, and practicing social distancing as much as we could within our warehouse facility. We're frequently, sanitizing things. We have hand washing stations for them and making sure they're taking frequent breaks to keep themselves, clean and the items that they're handling clean. And because we ship out a lot of products, any new products that we receive are also being isolated for 24 hours before they're being packaged and shipped. So we're just taking those extra precautions and communicating that with our customers to make sure that they feel a sense of relief and a little bit safer when they're shopping online. And then just repeating all of those communications with them, reminding them, wash your hands, wipe down your packages, sing the happy birthday song, and things like that, and just keeping a line with everything all the information we're receiving from the CDC, just making sure that we're on top of it.
And and Tiffany, along those same lines, I mean, both companies have supply chains of product in and then shipping product out. Have you guys experienced disruptions and shipping delays, and how have customers reacted to the news around that?
Yeah, we've seen and we've been handling a variety of things. Some things, have been delayed. There's other situations we're just kind of handling everything case by case, but we've definitely taken the approach to just be very transparent and communicate up front. So immediately we started changing some of our response times. So instead of shipping in our normal 3 to 5 day window, maybe that now looks like 5 to 10 days. Or for certain customers with certain products that might be delayed, or sizes are, some still coming in or what have you, we're communicating one-on-one with those customers as well. So adjusting all of our transactional emails early to help set that expectation. One, it just kind of helped our customer service team manage everything so that proactively we're sharing with customers what the impacts are, adding things to our website, changing those transactional emails, changing even our responses within the Zendesk tool for how do we handle each situation. I know Leanna hit on the fact that just kind of taking our customers, every individual's unique situation one by one, and giving our customer service teams the tools to handle that in as many ways as they need to, whether it's a billing situation or they need to delay or cancel orders. We're just giving them all the tools that they can, that they need access to be able to customize those experiences. And I think above all, just kind of reiterating that honesty and transparency has really been key in setting that expectation with our customer.
Got it. That makes complete sense. At Zendesk, we've seen massive volume shifts for companies as we've gone through this, and depending on the industry, it drives where you've seen the volume shifts in business. I'm curious how and what you guys have seen from a volume standpoint in your business. And I'll start with you, Tiffany, and then we'll move over to you.
Yeah, as far as the volume shift for us, I mean, as I mentioned early on, because we were adjusting how our fulfillment center operated and really wanted to limit the contact that our employees had, how many people were in the warehouse, we did pull back on some of our acquisition efforts early on, just to help make sure that we could not only fulfill the promise that we have out to customers, but also protect our employees. So with that, as we did that, we also shut our warehouse down for a period of time just to kind of make sure everything was safe and that we were comfortable with how, the order volume was coming in and also protecting employees. After a while, we started to see some organic growth, whether it was customers calling into customer service, asking for certain products or asking to turn on their subscription again or what have you. And slowly we've been able to kind of see that growth come to fruition, even in, some other acquisition channels that we're slowly getting back into. Another thing that we did and we've seen as far as a big shift is our fitness category used to be positioned really closely to like actual workout and going to the gym and performance based. We've seen a huge pivot, which just is more accelerated. It's been growing. I mean, athleisure, it's not something that's happened overnight. It's been a trend upward, but I mean, we're just seeing it accelerate that much faster. So we, very quickly pivoted. We rebranded that category and made it much more about this new lifestyle that we're all embracing and kind of moving into. And that has been, huge success stories across the board. Our customers are happy. We're seeing tons of growth in that area. And that being said, our volume into the customer service teams, definitely has adjusted along with that. So.
Got it. And Leanna, what about for you guys? Volume changes, any adjustments in channels that you've had to make?
Definitely. So when we first started, in March, we made sure we adjusted our help center and our login pages to call out any potential delays. And we've been pretty good. We've been shipping normally, maybe with a 1 or 2 business day extra processing time. So we've been able to quickly adapt all of our help desk articles, add some keywords in there to make sure that customers are being surfaced help desk articles through AnswerBot right away. way if we can't get to them as quickly as we'd like. Something that we've done on our end on the customer support side is like beef up a little bit of our live coverage. So we use talk, we use SMS, and we've been opening those platforms of communication and putting more of our staff on that front line so that they are talking to customers live in the moment and answering whatever questions that they may need. On the flip side, we've also had an increase in acquisition. Like Tiffany said, a lot of people are at home adjusting to a new normal and doing new things. So for a lot of customers, trying out Birchbox right now has been really fun for them. And all of our promos and anything that we are surfacing, making sure all those keywords are pivoted right back to specific articles and to specific agents, so we can make sure our new customers are getting the information they need right away, and then making sure that everyone else is being handled and giving all the information that they're asking for as upfront and as quickly as possible.
Leanna, I think if you don't mind, I would love to hit on one point that you had said there. I think one thing that Wantable has seen, you know, as a D2C brand that's been kind of maybe more on the front end of the digital transformation that a lot of retail is going through, I think that what we're seeing is just an acceleration of that even further, given, you know, the stores, not all stores are open and people are really leading into just being at home and trying to see how many deliveries, whether it's groceries, makeup, clothing, or what have you, that acceleration, at least from our standpoint of what we can see from our business and our customers, we're just seeing that kind of more quickly take flight.
We do have a question that just came in the message that popped up there about prompting you for questions means we've just crossed the halfway point of this. So get your questions in, please. But this question was around changing volume in channels. Have you seen a shift of any kind in the business of the channels that people are communicating to you with right now? And I'll start with you, Leanna.
Yeah, so we've actually seen a huge uptick in phone call requests.
Interesting.
To the point where we put maybe 5 or 6 agents on. We have a system where we call a customer back in a scheduled time frame in a 1-hour time block. And we're finding that our phone calls are tripling in time spent on the ticket. And I think it's just a little bit of like a human interaction that people just want to talk to someone. And that's something that I've been personally encouraging the team to do, to not think of each interaction as a ticket with a one touch that needs to be solved. But in a moment like this, you know, just talking and seeing what the customer needs. Maybe they just want to talk about, you know, their life or their adjustments, and they just want to hear somebody else and the people that they're living with. And we've had a lot of success with that in terms of our satisfaction, in terms of, you know, comments that we received from customers and some surveys and things like that. They just love speaking to us. And I think it's really powerful that we can be on the opposite end of that and give them what they need, whether it's in the form of the Birchbox itself or just, you know, somebody to chat with.
That's great.
I would echo everything you just said. You nailed it on the head. The call length was one of the most surprising things to me, is just how much people wanted to connect with another human, and, you know, whether it was sharing their stories of what they're doing at home or their employment situation. We're seeing that not only in phone calls, but we have a dialogue that can happen between our stylists, our personal stylists, as well as our customers. And even some of the comments and what customers are writing in about their stay-at-home lives and how their lifestyle is changes, they're just really giving us a little bit more insight into their life, so we can, you know, figure out the best way we can fit into it and enhance it. The other thing I'd mention, which follows along with more of that personal one-on-one communication, we're also seeing a little bit of a shift towards Facebook Messenger and definitely the Instagram direct messages. So if people have a question, maybe it's an ad or something they saw, or organic social posts, they're messaging into our customer service teams through those direct message channels as well. And that's been starting to pick up a little bit.
That's great. So Leanna, what are some of the most common pieces of advice your support teams are giving right now?
So a lot of what we've done and we've just been successful with for years and years is tracking performance through KPIs. So our team always had a set goal to hit X amount of tickets per hour and have X CSAT rating. And what we decided to do is just kind of pivot against that. The numbers are still going to be reported because that's how we track performance, but it's not the top factor of what makes a good customer experience right now. It is about making sure that the customer feels valued and is heard. So if we're taking longer on the phones, or if we're taking a couple extra touches to really have a conversation with someone and figure out exactly what they need, that's what my team has been advised to do, is take the moment and treat the customer like a person rather than a ticket interaction.
Yep.
And figure out what the best personalized resolution is for them. You know, like, we have the flexibility to be able to wiggle a little bit with policies, with, you know, how we want customers to perceive, you know, our product, and we're here to help. You know, we're fortunate enough to continue to be working, and there are so many people who aren't. So any way that we can support them, as long as it takes, that's our goal here. And just pivoting away from all of those KPIs and focusing on the human connection. That's something that we've been kind of striving towards in the last couple of weeks.
And both of your companies have been very open about COVID-19 and the impact on the business and communicating with your customers. Do you think this is helping build stronger relationships with your customers? If you look into your crystal ball, which none of us can see past next week right now, but if you look into your crystal ball longer term, do you believe you're building a different kind of relationship with your customers now? I'll start with you, Tiffany.
Yeah, I can say without a doubt. I mean, a couple of things that Leanna hit on is the fact that, you know, we have KPIs, and by all measures of our customer satisfaction scores, we're seeing a pickup in all of that during this time. And I think some of it has to do with the fact that we're being extremely transparent with our customers, even more so than before, because of everything that we've talked about. I would also mention that we have made a conscious decision to kind of pivot back to some of our core values and just simplify, going back to the things that, you know, we value as a company, just really simplifying everything and all the noise around it and focusing in on those as our North Star throughout this period has given us a lot of clarity on how to handle every situation, instead of the process or the standard way that we would maybe respond to a customer. Now it's, you know what, we're going to take that extra 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whether you're on this personal styling team or you're in customer service, and let's really hone in on how we can help those customers. We've gotten lots of notes and feedback like, hey, we support you. Bravo for taking care of your employees first and giving us an opportunity to pause. And actually we incented some customers to pause. So, hey, if you don't need your Wantable order now, pause and we'll give you a credit if you can pause till the next month or two, so that we can help keep our employees safe. Those types of things, I think, go a long way. Customers are looking at this time to stand by companies who are doing well for the community, but also their people. And we're seeing it in our metrics as a byproduct. Our CEO early on in the company's history said, you know, as long as your customers are happy, nothing else matters. Everything else kind of falls into place. And that's something that we've definitely been seeing.
Cool. Let me take a couple of these questions that are rolling in right now. We'll go to you, Leanna. How has the collaboration between agents and other parts of the organization working in the new environment? Are you looking for productivity tools?
That's a great question. So our team has always worked very well remotely. We have split between full-time and part-time agents, and our part-time agents were always welcome to come into HQ, but they have a lot of other jobs, schooling. So working remotely and working from home is kind of second nature for all of us, and we've been thriving. So what we've been doing a little bit for the people on the front line, customer support, to be able to share analytics and feedback to the entire organization now that we're all from home. So something that we're doing is doing like weekly check-ins, doing a performance analysis of the tickets that came in, how many we solved, and other metrics like that, and be able to share them outwards, and some learnings with that, and how we can give each team working on a piece of the project a little bit of insight into what we've been seeing. So it's been nice to actually have a lot of our people who normally just solve the ticket and clock out, being able to participate in a lot of these broader conversations and cross-team functions. It's been really cool to see.
Yeah. And there's a couple questions on here really about the makeup of the the customer support organizations, and have you had to add in temp agents? How you're dealing with different peaks and valleys in volume, and does that change some of how you think about CS in the future? And I'll start with you, Tiffany.
So far, we've been able to manage all of it without having to add a ton of staff, just by nature of, giving the tools that we've needed to the teams, empowering them to make some of the decisions that maybe they would have escalated before on the fly. Giving them the ability to handle that has been helpful. Our customer service, like the front lines to our customers, really is broken out in between our personal stylists and our customer service teams. And sometimes the lines between how the two teams interact with our customers is a little gray. What you might think might be a customer service response, sometimes our style team can jump in and help out on. So those tools, I think, have, are the tools we've given them, in addition to kind of using the team's bandwidth across the board, has really helped us. But we have had to adjust our shifts. So we've been seeing more night volume, more weekend volume. So we're kind of adjusting our workflows to handle it. But, I would anticipate in the future at some point, we'll probably be looking to have some of those conversations on adding staff.
Got it. What about for you guys, Leanna?
Yeah, we're in the same boat that we've been able to manage with the team that we have now, but the same kind of hypothesis of we'll probably need more folks in the future, and thinking about ways to surface an experience towards them that's outside of business hours. So historically, we usually provide our service, between the hours of 9 to 6. Most of our agents are working during that time, but we've been looking to pivot a little bit to make sure we have like the after hours coverage, someone who's always constantly answering an email and figuring out, how we can give people answers quickly if we're having, adjustments and shifts and times. Something that I think about too as well is like the channel of text, and how you're always on your phone and you'll probably be texting into all hours of the night. So it's like, when is it appropriate for us to answer the text messages as well? Should we have, night coverage of us texting customers back their inquiries? When do we cut off that time to make sure we're not, tapping into private home time and things like that? So just kind of adjusting our staff and their schedules based on like where we're seeing customer trends and outreach.
Got it. Thank you. We're getting down to the end here. I did want to relay that as questions are coming in, the questions we don't make it to, we will give a shot at answering those through our social posts. Why don't we go to kind of one last question for the both of you, which is, what is a lesson learned or best practice that you can share with your peers as we kind of all navigate this new normal? We'll start with you, Tiffany.
I would say now than ever, our teams have been really focusing on being direct but kind. Giving grace to whoever you're talking to. It could be a customer, it could be a coworker, teammate. You never know what's going on behind the screen or on the other line or at the other end of the phone. And everyone does have something they're dealing with. I mean, we've got a broad age range of employees across the company, a broad spectrum of customers that we service, some with kids and their teachers and doing Zoom calls all day or what have you. So I think just making sure that we set expectations with each other, our expectations of other people, and just trying to be realistic during times like these. And again, just kind of really hitting on that, giving grace right now over, the expectation of perfection, I think has been a really important thing and has definitely helped kind of build strong relationships, even remotely, with our teams as we kind of navigate through this.
That's great. What about you, Leanna?
I believe that the thing that's been helpful for us most is just transparent and honest communication, both with the customer and with our cross teams and our coworkers, and being able to empower your agents if you're trying to, specific resolutions or something, retention goals, and it's not working for them, empower them to speak up, because this is the time that I think that we can adjust a lot of what we think is right and good customer experience with all of our business goals. But like Tiffany said, there's a lot of people who are going through a lot of tough situations, and we can help while they're reaching out to us. There's always, a solution. So being able to keep the customer informed of what we're doing and how we're assisting and what we can help with, and then letting the agent know that, you know, we can change things up too. And whatever you think is best, trust your gut judgment when you're talking to customers, to give them the best and most human experience.
That's great. Well, I want to thank Tiffany and Leanna so much for joining us today, for answering the questions, for sharing their experiences. Hopefully you found this helpful. As always, please connect with Zendesk and the rest of our community to continue to have these updates. We've got the next one this Thursday coming up with Etsy. This is going to be a CFO discussion with our CFO, Elena Gomez, and Etsy CFO. We look forward to hopefully hosting you and answering some more questions. But thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Monday. Take care.
Thank you.